Guys, I'm worried about the Bitcoin chart. I really am. And the reason why I'm worried about the Bitcoin chart isn't because we rejected from this bear flag, even though we'll talk about this bear flag later. But what you can see is that we've now broken down this on the 4 hour and on the daily. We've broken down from this uptrend that we've been on since the beginning of April. And I'm going to talk today about what this means and why we've actually broken down and what could reverse it. But the problem is that if we don't reverse it, then it looks like we could come back all the way down into the bottom of this bear flag, which will take us into the 68, 69,000. And then if we don't break up again, then we could break down. And if we break down, that could take us down into a whole lot of new levels. So today, I want to show you why I'm a little bit concerned about the charts. I want to show you what could invalidate my concern. And there are a couple of things that can invalidate. There's one particular thing that I want to talk about at the end of the show, which if it does invalidate this bear flag breakdown, then I think it could be really, really, really good for markets. Otherwise, the markets look weak, and I want to show you why it is that the markets are actually looking weak. So, big show, let's go. Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. Before we start the show today, I need your help, right? If you are a real DJ, like a big crypto DJ, and you like writing things on Twitter, and you believe that you could run the Banter Twitter account, and you could make Banter into a thought leader when it comes to Twitter. So if you could write long posts about what's going on, and effectively run our account almost like, if you think about like the 𝗙𝗏𝗏 letter, but like something more for crypto. We want to hire you full-time. We're looking for a writer full-time to help us become a thought leader on Twitter. If you want to, there's a link below. And there is a full description of the job spec. But I'm looking for like the best writer in the world. Must be like an amazing person who wants to blend in with banter culture, and someone that really wants to look for alpha all day long, and put it onto Twitter and onto all the Banter socials. Get hold of us, because I want to hire full-time. I want to hire this person full-time. There's a link below in the description for that role, right? There's a link below in the description. What were we listening to earlier? So there's a link below here. There's a link below here. There's a link below in the description. What were we listening to earlier? So there's a link below to that job link. Please, we want to hire someone full-time. You can be remote. In fact, you should be remote if you want to join us. Anyway, with that out the way, let's talk about markets. But before we talk about markets, welcome. It's Tuesday. I wasn't here yesterday. I was away on a bit of a retreat. Can I tell them what kind of retreat I went on? I mean, you can't tell people you went on an ayahuasca retreat. You just can't. I don't understand it. So anyway, I went on a retreat yesterday, and now I'm back. I've got a lot more insights in life, and I'm here, and I'm bringing you crypto love and crypto wisdom. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. And if you are subscribed, obliterate the like button. What the hell was that ding noise? Obliterate the like button. Okay, obliterate the like button. Let's get the show on the road today. Let me tell you why I'm a little bit worried. 69 likes. Come on, guys. Come on. You can do better. Let's talk about the charts. As I said, this is a typical bear market pattern. I'm going to repeat. It's a typical bear market pattern. You get up to the top of the bear flag. Everybody thinks you're going to break through. As Jason Pizzino said, he said, Bitcoin is in the phase of the bear market when it does just enough to fool the bears and the bulls before flipping on its head once again. And that's where we were last week, right? Now, the problem when you look at one of these bear flags, even though we had an amazing day yesterday, I don't know if you guys were watching, but we had an amazing day yesterday. We went all the way to 79,500. Before the weekly close, what you can see is that candle actually reversed, right? And it closed. We opened the new week at 76,239, right? And so, we closed at under 79,000, and now we're back at 76,000, right? That is a very bearish pattern. I don't like this pattern at all. Why? Because what Bitcoin is basically doing is it rejected from the top of the bear flag. Not only that, it rejected off the bull market support band. And that is a typical bear market pattern. I repeat, it's a bear market pattern. It's exactly what Peter Brand said in his tweet. He's one of the most respected, oldest chartists out there. He said, Bitcoiners, those of you predicting 250,000 in 2026 need to stop with the mushrooms. So it wasn't mushrooms, it was ayahuasca. This is called a channel. It does not preclude further price gains. It is not a bullish bottom forming pattern. Okay, so he agrees. This is not a bullish bottom forming pattern. It's actually the other way around. It's a pattern that usually breaks down, and when it does, it gives you one of these things. And now we've rejected off the top, and we're starting to make our way back down again. And I'll talk to you in a second as to why it's happening. It's very typical in a bear market. In fact, look at all these bear markets. We tested the bull market support band once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Actually, with the orange lines or the orange arrows here, we actually went above the bull market support band, but then we went back down. So in order for us to reject this, in order for us to beat this and to get into a bullish pattern, not only do we have to close above the bull market support band and above the top of this wedge, but we have to stay there for a long time, a couple of weeks, before we'll be convinced that we're getting into a bullish pattern. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying there are a couple of things that are not on our side. For one, as you can see, it rejected exactly off the right fib level. For two, reject off the bull market support band. For three, if you look at the daily RSIs, they went to the top and they're starting to break down again, which is not a good sign for Bitcoin. That's not a very good sign for Bitcoin. If you look at Solana, and this is quite scary, I'll show you why this is quite scary. This is the Bollinger Band width on Solana, the BBW, Bollinger Band width, which shows how little volatility there is on an asset. Usually when there's little volatility on an asset, you expect the asset to have a big move. In fact, you always have a big move when the Bollinger Bands bottom, right? And you can see that right now, the Bollinger Bands on Solana have never, ever been lower. That means that a big move is imminent. Now, the question is, does that move go up or does that move go down? If Bitcoin breaks down, there's no way that Solana stays up, and therefore Solana basically goes down. So keep your eyes on the market, because this is telling you that there's a major move imminent on the market. That's the charts. Now let's go onto the on-chain to see what is actually causing the moves on the charts, right? So we have the moves on the charts. We know that Bitcoin is now weak. Now, why? We need to look at why Bitcoin is weak. So last week was driven by a lot of spot buying, right? So when I say a lot of spot buying, if you look on-chain, what you can see is that last week, the 𝗙𝗏𝗡 ETF had reached $1 billion, the highest in the last 6 months of inflows into the Bitcoin ETF. At the same time, we had 𝗟𝗓 buying like an absolute crazy person, right? Specifically because the STRC was above $1 at a certain point, or close to $1 or above $1 at a certain point, and therefore 𝗟𝗓 could raise a lot of money to actually go and buy a lot of Bitcoin. But now 𝗟𝗓 is out of the market, right? Because the STRC, as you can see over here, is not trading at $1, right? It's trading at just under $1, 99.53. Therefore, 𝗟𝗓 is not in the market buying like a crazy person. Even though he is at the Bitcoin conference talking about buying like a crazy person, he's not in the market buying like a crazy person. As a result, if you look at the Coinbase premium, which is the USA premium for buying Bitcoin, which is driven by US buyers, such as 𝗟𝗓, such as 𝗙𝗏𝗡, what you can see is that the Coinbase premium, after being positive for so long, has now broken down, and the Coinbase premium is now negative, which means that demand in the US is actually slowing, i.e. 𝗟𝗓, i.e. BlackRock, right? At the same time, the rally, according to Julian Moreno, he basically says the recent Bitcoin price increase is completely driven by demand of the perps, because the spot demand is basically contracting. He said the same thing happened in January when Bitcoin peaked at 98,000. There are risks of a correction if traders start taking profits while spot demand continues to contract. So what he's saying is right now it's driven by air being speculation and not by actual on-chain demand. The other thing that worries me about this week is we're going into an FOMC. And even though we know that the FOMCs haven't been bullish, in fact, and we also know that there's a 100% chance that Powell ain't reducing rates. I mean, can you imagine Powell walks in and reduces rates? Powell doesn't have a lot of time left. This is his last meeting. This is actually Powell's last meeting. Unless they don't appoint the new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, then Powell's actually gone. So this could be Powell's last meeting. I wonder if we should come here and watch, because it is Powell's last meeting. Well, it's going to be boring. It's a 100% chance of no rate hike. Yeah. Very boring. Why don't you do the show, Hardest?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll fall asleep.
You could fall asleep. You could fall asleep. All right. Then the other reason why I'm not that bullish is because I know that the Bitcoin conference is happening in Vegas. And I also know that every time the Bitcoin conference happens in Vegas, that kind of marks the top. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. But what I can tell you is that it always marks the top, right? So when I looked at the speaker list for the Bitcoin conference, I don't know if I'm happy or if I'm sad. And I think we need to put a poll out here, right? So you look at the speaker list for the world's asset that is supposed to be out of the the government control and government ecosystem. And then you look at the speakers at the Bitcoin conference. Like you've got like Paul Atkins, head of the SEC, Todd Blanche, and he's the acting US Attorney General, right? Okay, David Bailey's using this as a networking platform. Eric Trump, Cynthia Loomis. Like, this looks more like a political conference to me, if you ask me. Can you believe it? But good things are actually coming out of the conference. I'll tell you that much. Good things are coming out of the conference, right? The first thing is, you've got SEC chair. Now, remember, like the old SEC chair, Gary Gensler, he was such a toss. And now you've got the new one, and look how like pro Bitcoin and pro crypto is. Notice the first thing is he's actually wearing a Bitcoin tie, like an orange tie.
Actually allow firms to experiment on-chain, build their securitized tokens and trade them on-chain here in the United States under an innovation.
But he's also talking about raising money for ICOs and IPOs on-chain. Listen to this.
An exemption that we plan to issue here in the next few weeks, and then also to allow fundraising, through the sale of tokens on chain through what we're calling Reg Crypto. So those things are in the offing. They'll be coming out soon. But I know the discussion here just a few minutes ago about the statute, which is the bill pending in Congress right now called the Clarity Act. We really need...
So that is the head of the SEC talking well about Bitcoin. This is quite big. Now, I've heard rumors, I don't know if this is true or not. So a White House executive director says there'll be a big announcement around the Bitcoin strategic reserve in a couple of weeks. Now, listen to what he says, and I'll tell you what the announcement could be.
Overall, the president signed the strategic Bitcoin reserve exemption last year, and we've gone to work in figuring out exactly the machinations necessary and legal interpretations that we need to get that right and solidify that and protect the digital assets, but specifically Bitcoin that we have on the government balance sheet. So in the next few weeks, we'll be making a big announcement. I think we have a bit of a breakthrough there, and obviously that needs to be followed up with legislation. Senator Lummis's Bitcoin Act over in the House. Representative Begich has talked about the ARMA Act that he has put together. So we need to codify it, but in the meantime...
Talking about a big announcement, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that over like a couple of years, the US wants to accumulate 1 million Bitcoin. I don't know if that's true. Let's wait and see what the big announcement is. We also had the Clarity Act. Now, the Clarity Act apparently now, they're getting very close, but they're talking about a deadline of like May. So let's keep our eyes open on the Clarity Act. I think right now, if you look at the market is largely driven by the war, and specifically by the oil price. There's a couple of things that have happened around the war and the oil price that are probably worth talking about. As it relates to the price of oil, what you can see on the oil chart is that there was, here we go, here. So there was a slight move in the price of oil in the last day. In fact, let's look at the last couple of hours. The reason why the oil price has got one of these big candles is because, I don't know if you guys have been watching, but the UAE is actually talking about, or has exited OPEC, which means that now the UAE could actually put more oil into production. Instead, following its exit, the UAE will continue to act responsibly, bringing additional production to the market for a gradual and measured manner, aligned with the demands of the market. A large and competitive resource, the UAE will continue working with its partners to develop a resource map. So basically, the UAE leaving OPEC and actually starting to manufacture oil outside the scheme of OPEC. Right now, though, I like this tweet, and there's no tweet I want to show you. It says, the straight open, pump, the straight close, dump, peace deal pump, no peace deal dump, nukes dump, no nukes dump, pump, the rules of the game. Really, it all comes down to the war. And as it relates to the war, you can see that this is the exact point where Russia was dragged into the war. So one of the Iranian ministers actually went to Russia to talk to Putin, and Putin's now consulting with Russia around the war here. So that's what happened over there. At the same time, there's no peace deal any time on the horizon. In fact, I actually tweeted this weekend, and like Iran said, you know what, we'll negotiate a peace deal, but let's exclude nuclear. We can talk about nuclear at a different time. No, bro. The Trump's not agreeing to anything that doesn't include nuclear. That's like 101. Is like there's got to be a nuclear deal. And then I said, look, I think that we should position for another strike on Iran this week, because I think at some point the US is going to basically like go back and say, you know what, like, you guys are wasting time. You're not taking us seriously. Let's just give you one or two little smashes, just so that you can start taking us seriously, and then we'll go back to the negotiating table, right? Why? So Iran says, get this, Iran's basically saying that the US is delaying. The US is saying Iran's delaying. The reality is there's a good chance that the US is actually stalling, and the reason why the US could be stalling is because Iran is running out of places to store its oil. They've got like 2 to 3 weeks left of oil storage capacity. After that, because of the Navy blockade, they can't move the oil, and so they need to shut down the wells. And if they shut down the wells, it does a lot of damage to the oil systems, right? So as it stands right now, I think the US is also trying to buy time, but the US does want a peace deal sooner rather than later. Yeah, so I think, again, like I like this tweet that says, stocks are trading like the Iran war never happened. Bonds are trading like the Fed has lost control of the cutting cycle. Oil is trading like Hormuz isn't opening anytime soon. The dollar is trading like a safe haven. Gold is trading like a leveraged position is being unwound, not added to. Consumer is staying stagflation. Never yet the SPX actually prints. And that's pretty much a good summary of what's actually going on in the market. I think that is it. I mean, there's not much actually going on in the markets otherwise. Hey, I thought everything went green. Didn't go green. See some green, some red. Not a very, very good day. I do want to remind you all, every one of you, that there is still a trading competition. If you want to learn how to beat the bear market, we are having a trading competition. I'm not taking any trades today because I'm waiting for something to happen in the trading competition. Right now, there's like 700 people playing. There's $100,000. The trading competition still goes on until the 16th of May. So you can sign up today, or 17th of May. You can sign up today and you can participate, and you can still stand a chance to win this $100,000. It's an on-KYC exchange, so anyone can trade there. Anyone, anywhere can trade there. Yeah. Otherwise, don't forget, I'm looking for a Twitter writer. So if you like this, like, if you can build the 𝗙𝗏𝗂𝗏 letter of crypto, what is it? I want you. What does Uncle Sam want? I want you. Okay. Hardest.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add?
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. All right. I think we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.